Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
On the first day of the week, Mary of Magdala came to the tomb early in the morning, while it was still dark, and saw the stone removed from the tomb. So she ran and went to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved, and told them, "They have taken the Lord from the tomb, and we don't know where they put him." So Peter and the other disciple went out and came to the tomb. They both ran, but the other disciple ran faster than Peter and arrived at the tomb first. He bent down and saw the burial cloths there, but did not go in. When Simon Peter arrived after him, he went into the tomb and saw the burial cloths there, and the cloth that had covered his head, not with the burial cloths, but rolled up in a separate place. Then the other disciple also went in, the one who had arrived at the tomb first, and he saw and believed. For they did not yet understand the scripture that he had to rise from the dead. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. There can be several eyewitnesses to the same event, and each eyewitness will see something different. Such was the case on that first Easter morning. 3 people experienced the empty tomb, and each person reaches a different conclusion. The first eyewitness, Mary of Magdala. She arrives at the tomb early in the morning while it was still dark, and she saw that the stone had been removed. So she runs to Simon Peter to tell him that the body of Jesus was taken from the tomb. Mary's first thought about the empty tomb was that the body of Jesus had been stolen. And Mary is afraid. The second eyewitness, Simon Peter, runs to the empty tomb, sees the burial cloth, and is confused. The fact that the burial cloth that covered Jesus' head was rolled up in a place by itself was an indication that the body was not stolen. But Simon Peter is confused as to what happened to the body of Jesus. And then the third eyewitness, the other disciple whom Jesus loved, the one who outran Simon Peter to the tomb. That disciple follows Peter into the tomb, and we are told that he saw and he believed. His love for Jesus opened his eyes to the possibility of Christ's resurrection. He sees that the physical body of Jesus is no longer in the tomb, and he immediately concludes that Jesus has been raised from the dead. This disciple, because of the loving relationship that he had with Jesus, did not need proof of the resurrection. He freely chose to believe that Jesus rose from the dead. 3 people experiencing the empty tomb reach different conclusions about what happened to the body of Jesus. Easter is a joyful celebration of the risen Lord being with us. But notice that Easter does not begin with joy. Easter begins with emptiness. Not one of the four gospel writers begins the story of Easter with the appearance of the risen Christ. But all four gospel writers begin with the empty tomb. And the gospel we just heard from St. John proves that point. Mary, Simon Peter, and the disciple that Jesus loved go to the tomb, and the first thing they encounter is not Jesus, but the empty tomb. And it is only after leaving the empty tomb that they encounter the risen Christ. In other words, first comes emptiness, then comes rejoicing. First comes absence, then comes new life. The fear, disbelief, confusion that we might feel this Easter because of the stay-at-home order, that feeling is an emptiness that will lead us to a joyful encounter with the risen Christ. The risen Christ wants to fill our emptiness with new life as he calls us to a new relationship with him, a relationship in which we believe and trust in the Lord's presence among us. Let us pray this Easter for each other, that we will allow the resurrection of Jesus Christ to fill our minds and our hearts with his loving, merciful presence.